gentleman kneels back. I now recognize Mr. Cisneros in the great state of California for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Stallings, thank you for being here. Many times I've said in this room during other hearings that it would be great to hear from somebody from the SBA who actually works there on many of the issues that we're talking about. So thank you for being that person today, and thank you for taking time to answer these questions. So I appreciate combined efforts to support the effort to rebuild Los Angeles following the wildfires last January. Earlier, you shared $785 million has been dispersed. That's about 22% of the $3.7 billion you have shared that has been approved. But 22% is the same number listed in the SBA press release back in October 14th. If we're being, as you claim, right, to be more effective with less staff, why hasn't that number changed in the last 2 months? And what are you and the SBA doing to get dispersals out in a timely manner?
So a lot of folks, specifically Californians, understand that if they take their money too soon, then our deferment doesn't work for them. So we give them a grace period of 12 months. So after their first dispersal, they get 12 months. They don't have to accrue interest and they don't have to make a payment. So what we're hearing when we talk to them is, why take money if I can't rebuild? Because they're not getting permits, they're not getting the ability to get moving forward. So they're waiting to get their disbursements. They want to take full advantage of that. So until they see permits start moving, there's no reason for them to draw on their funds. So that's been the common denominator of most of the conversations we've had with Californians.
So just to follow up, in response to my colleague's question, you said you've learned some valuable lessons. What were those lessons, and how can the federal response and disbursements alone be improved?
The dispersal is super simple. They call us and say, we're ready for the money, and we give it to them. The approval portion is the part that we were making sure we get to everybody. As I mentioned, some of the seniors in California were not comfortable with the technology piece, which I completely understood. My team has heard me since day one. I've got grandparents still alive. They're in their 80s. They're not going to get on a computer and fill out a federal form. They want paper and pen, and we're going to keep that. But what we're seeing there is it's not been an issue. We're getting a lot of approvals, so our system is working. We're there. It's just, unfortunately, California has seen some backlogs in permitting, and they can't get construction started.
To follow up on like the technology question, like you said, my parents are senior citizens too. They don't like technology, but Los Angeles is also a diverse community with many naturalized citizens who Spanish-speaking, Tagalog, Vietnamese, many, Mandarin. Yes, as you know, the SBA has removed Spanish language versions of its website. How are you ensuring disaster assistance programs are still being accessible to not only Spanish-speaking, but also other multilingual citizens that are entitled to these disbursements?
I think that is a wonderful question. I'll give you a prime example of what we're doing. We've taken away just the idea of picking a few languages and making winners and losers of who could understand and who couldn't. So we're waiting and making it a bespoke experience at site. So take, for instance, Alaska, the typhoon that just recently hit. They have oral-only languages. Well, it would do us no good if we showed up with a bunch of flyers written in some languages that they didn't understand. So we wait till we get on the ground, and we build a bespoke experience. So we had translators that went to the villages that spoke the language that would take our information and translate it for us. So we understand that there's always going to be challenges with language and diversity. We accept that. That's one of the things that makes America so great, is that we are a hodgepodge of nationalities. And so we embrace that, but it was picking winners and losers if we just put a few languages on there when our programs are more in-depth than that. I think it's important that if you're going to enter in a 30-year agreement with me to pay for some funding, and you're going to give me back interest, I need to give you the experience you deserve as the end user, and so making sure that we speak to you directly was extremely important to us.
So I see that, look, I hear that and I understand that, and I think that's great what you're doing to the people down in Alaska, but how are we interacting with these individuals, like you said, that do speak and can write, but it may be in a foreign language, or it's, English is their second, and they're more comfortable communicating in this thing. Are you getting people on the ground to make sure that they're filling out the forms and people are walking them through those forms so that they know what they're signing and understanding what they're signing?
Absolutely. We engage translation services, our own. We promote our own internal candidates who can go to those areas and say, hey, you speak the language of this particular disaster, will you deploy, and so that we can use you as a valuable resource. We take that just as important as we do all the others.
All right. Thank you very much, and I yield back.
Yes, sir.